Hey, we are live and we are here on a very, very special episode. This is officially our 100th episode on the FIFA Koballa podcast. And for this episode, we are going solo today. No guest today for this episode, and yes, we're riding solo. So this is our very second episode of the new year in 2023, and I just want to take the time, obviously, to thank everybody for the support that we have had over the past year and a half, ever since creating this podcast. And we had tons of guests that have come through on this platform, and I'm very appreciative of them to have come on and just having the chance to get to know all these great people that I met, other content creators and supporters of the stream. It's been such a wonderful experience, and so overall, I'm just very grateful for all the episodes and for everybody that came on through to keep this podcast going. And at the end of the day, I'm just very appreciative to have the opportunity to continue to do this for this long. Now, as you guys already know, our podcasts are very free-flowing podcast, free-flowing conversations that we have with our guest. And out of all the episodes that we had so far, we only had, this is going to be our third one that we are doing solo. So, yeah, I just wanted to take this time and use this episode to just kind of give an update of where we're at, to give ourselves a chance to reflect on the year of 2022, specifically on our content creating journey. And, you know, what to expect going forward, going into 2023. So this is a live stream as usual. We always live stream our podcast on the YouTube, and we will interact with the chat. So if you guys are coming through, I will probably continue to go on my thoughts and my reflection. And if I don't interact with the chat while I'm reflecting, I hope you don't mind. I'm sure you would understand. But I will engage with the chat as much as possible, and hopefully towards the end we could do a little Q&A. But I think it's a big milestone to hit the 100th episode, to have come this far, to have done it this long is quite surprising, to say the least. And you know, it's been a good ride. Again, very, very blessed and very thankful to have done so many episodes and had so many guests through this whole time of doing all this. So I can't thank you guys enough for those guests to come through, and for the viewers to show a lot of support. As over the time that we have done this, I've gotten a lot of good feedback, and people have really enjoyed this podcast. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm glad this is something that we got started, and just to have all the interactions that we did during the duration of all this. In terms of just our update with FIFA, I don't know if we'll talk much FIFA really on this episode. I mean, this is a big milestone, so I just want to kind of get a chance to just kind of reflect, and I guess it could be a celebratory episode that we have here with our viewers and for everybody listening. And yeah, not really technical stuff with the FIFA. I don't think we'll really talk about gameplay unless people in the chat come through and just ask questions in regards to it, which I don't mind discussing. But But in terms of my update with content creating, I think we also hit a huge milestone with the Twitch hitting 2,000 followers right before the end of 2022. And on our usual, what on that stream while we were trying to hit 2K, I decided to do a Pro Clubs marathon and just play Pro Clubs for about over 12 hours on the stream till we hit the 2K mark, and we finally did hit it. And we actually did that earlier in the year, last year, 2022, when we were trying to hit 1K. So, it's a big milestones that we hit in 2022, and I'm glad we hit those marks. Just a sign of our growth on our content and on our channel, and again, something to be very, very grateful for. So I'm glad we hit those marks, and so many people coming through and showing a lot of love and support, and you really can't ask for anything more. So very grateful for that, to be able to hit that milestone. And along with that, we have our 100th episode on the podcast. So I guess pretty big achievements to our standards. And again, very grateful for that. So again, with FIFA and streaming, I've been pretty consistent with my streaming schedule, and I've been streaming for about 5 to 6 days a week for long hours. I think anywhere from 4 to 6 on average, and it's been good. The growth has been really good. We've been having a lot of good time, just playing Ultimate Team and playing Pro Clubs. Mainly just sticking to FIFA as of late, and the World Cup just ended, and obviously the previous episodes we got a chance to discuss our thoughts on the World Cup, and again, I really enjoyed that, and to have played FIFA alongside that, it was fun as well. It was a good time. I know a lot of content creators have mentioned that the content has been dead during that period, with all that. So yeah, something could be said about that, most certainly. But I was still at it. I was still grinding for those World Cup swaps, and still playing the weekend leagues. So I've been pretty consistent in doing the typical foot grind. And after streaming for about since June of 2020, this is actually, if you think about it, that's actually our 4th FIFA, because I started at FIFA 20 and we made our way to FIFA 23 now. Going into the new year of 2023, and with Team of the Year about to release in a couple weeks. What's funny enough was, before I even started streaming on June, I actually started playing Ultimate Team January of 2020, and that's about the time when Team of the Year came out, and I didn't really know much about Team of the Year or foot content, and it's kind of interesting. You fast forward about 3 years now. So it's 3 years that we played Ultimate Team in total, and we come to this point 3 years later where we are at our 100th episode of the podcast. And our very first episode of the podcast was actually March of 2021. It's been 1.5 years. So actually more than that. So in about 2 months, we're about to hit the 2-year mark of our podcast if we continue to do that. So it's definitely more than it's like 1 year and 10 months of doing this podcast, and we finally hit our 100th episode. And I did not think I wasn't sure if we would have so many episodes. And yeah, it's been a good ride of just content creating these podcasts, creating content on the YouTube as well as streaming on Twitch. And we have our first guy on the chat. L Dog, how we doing? Good to see you, sir. As we will continue to do our interactions with the chat along the way. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for the support. Thanks for stopping by. And um so yeah, I mean, it's been quite a journey, content creating journey, and at this point, it could definitely get repetitive. Um, and the routine could be the same. Where if you're a FIFA Ultimate Team creator, you every day you log on to see what content that they release for the day, and that usually dictates what you got to do on stream or with your content. And people could go different routes with what they want to create with their content, whether it's just content itself or gameplay or grinding for rivals to hit elite, to move up divisions. Obviously, the weekend you have the Foot Champs grind, trading. There's definitely a lot of FIFA traders out there that are more focused on the market, and it caters to a certain audience. So, and usually that's built off of the content that they release. So there's so many ways that you could go about it from a content creating perspective. There's obviously the Foot Global Series that's coming up for Season 1 this upcoming Saturday, and that's a big event for competitive FIFA players. So you'll see a lot of pro players that will focus on just, their teams and just working on their tactics, prepping and practicing for that big event to give themselves a chance to make it to the E-World Cup, where all the best FIFA players from around the world gather together and compete for the big prize, compete for that title for the best FIFA player in the world. And so, and to add on to that, we are sponsoring two guys that have been big supporters of the stream, and we have Kev G and JT, who's going to represent Koballa FC. So I guess you could kind of say we have an esports team, sort of, but I'm just supporting them, and I just want them to represent our brand, and I really appreciate them being a part of this. And we will also have them on the podcast tomorrow for our 101st episode, and just kind of talk about their preparation. And just happy to have them, and I just want to support them in their competitive journey in any way possible. So I'm really excited about that, and I will also stream on Saturday to help alongside Kevin and JT to do their best and try to make it as far as they possibly can. And so you got all this going on. And obviously, you got the big content of Team of the Year coming out in late January. So that's kind of where we're at with that, with all the FIFA content creating. And yeah, I was just going back to the fact that it just gets very repetitive, right? It's the same thing over and over. You go in there, you look at the content, you see which SBCs, squad building challenges that you want to do, and what game mode you want to do based on what content that they release. Obviously, new objectives come out to let you grind for tokens, and you get these tokens to redeem rewards. So, all the committed Foot grinders know, exactly what to do. And as a streamer, as you do this, as you grind on Foot, you really get a chance to do all this while you're live on stream and interact with your viewers and get good feedback or just vibe for a couple hours as you're grinding all this. And usually, your viewers are lurking and they are also watching as they're grinding themselves. So it's not for all viewers, but you do have some viewers like that. So they're along on the ride with you, especially if you're well, I guess it wouldn't really matter if you're small or big content creator. So that's where I'm at right now. I mean, I currently I just reached the 2K mark in followers on Twitch. And you know, in that 2.5 year mark, I had steady and consistent growth, which has been good, and the viewership has slowly been going up. So, it's been good. For the most part, I've been pretty consistent with my streaming schedule. I don't know if I would say I have a consistent time of when I go live, but I've been consistently streaming about 4 to 5 times a day in that 2.5 year span. Obviously, I would have those breaks where I take a week off or a couple of days off throughout the year, which is normal. But I don't think I really took a long layoff from streaming. And I've been adamant at grinding with the streaming, so which contributes to the growth of our content. As I reflect on that, I would say, and I spoke to a lot of content creators about this, but there's always the struggle as a streamer that you get caught up looking at the numbers. Like on a weekly basis, when you do look at the numbers, you see whether you're getting a certain amount of growth or if there's a decline in viewers or if you're not getting as much followers or subs. I think that's always a challenge for every content creator, mostly for the smaller content creators, because they want to grow. They have a desire to get bigger and bigger. And, one of the big motivations for people to get into content creating and streaming is, because they want to make something like this, either just a side hustle or make that side hustle into the main thing, right? And certainly for me, those challenges apply. I definitely go through those challenges, and I have thoughts where maybe I'm investing too much into this, and the return is just not as it's just not really what you wanted. You think you would want a bigger return for what the time that you're putting in. And usually when you're starting off small, that's kind of the sacrifice that you have to be willing to make. And another challenge is along with that is you start comparing yourself to other streamers. And, when you do that, you get a little down about yourself because there's people that probably that put in less time as you, but they have more following. Now, there could be many reasons for this, and we could go on and on about those factors. And maybe it's just like the quality of content, they're just way better at the game, more entertaining. There could be those factors, or their personality that people are drawn to. So many different factors of why people tune in to certain streamers and, what exactly is contributing to their growth, So, nonetheless, the thing is, if you could get caught up in these numbers and you could get caught up in comparing yourself to other people. And certainly the struggle for me, along with many other people, is that, maybe I haven't achieved as much as this viewer and I should have more. and you wonder if the time you're putting in is really worth it. And I think one thing that has helped me is just that I'm very appreciative of the people and all the supporters that have gone to my streams, and I've always had a good time for the most part on the streams. It's rare that I have a bad time, that I have a bad stream. The streams have been good. A lot of people do come through, and it has been growing steadily over the years. So I really can't complain, you know. And I know there's people out there that grew way more at a much faster pace and just kind of exploded, which is good for them, all the power to them. And, I'm not at all, you know, at least I don't believe I'm jealous, maybe to a certain extent, but, it's good for them, especially if they're fellow content creators that I know and that I support. I don't mind for them to have such tremendous growth. And I think, if you want to get into streaming and if you're a smaller streamer, those are just some of the obstacles that you gotta overcome. And obviously with comes streaming, usually you got other things going on in your life, and you can't commit to the streaming if there's other obligations in your life that you have to take care of, and that comes with work and family. A lot of personal things in people's lives come through. um I know along the way too, people stream for a while and they're pretty consistent, and at some point they just get burnt out. They get burnt out, due to a particular game. It could be, for us, obviously our main content is FIFA. So people just get sick of FIFA and they just don't want to stream anymore. Or the streaming, they just feel like it's not really worth their time, and they rather invest their time into other things, which is fair, and that's totally understandable. So I've seen a lot of streamers come and go at the end of the day. And, if this is something that they really want to do, then they'll continue to do it. If there's other factors, if there's, things that come up in their life that has really hindered them from continuing to stream, then, they'll take some time off, and maybe, they might not come back. They might not come back at all, and I totally understand that. I totally understand that's just what people go through. That is what streamers go through, in their content creating journey. And there are a few, that do make it out and can make it a full-time thing, and it is possible. I just think when you look at it from a numbers perspective, it's a very small number of people that can be able to do that out of all the streamers. I wouldn't go on to say that it's impossible, but you just really have to commit to it, and you just gotta always kind of reinvent yourself or reinvent your content to a way that really caters to the masses. And that's a very challenging thing to do. And to be consistent and to be on that grind to really be that full-time streamer, you really have to commit a lot of time and energy into it. And that's what, a lot of viewers don't really know. And not that they need to know, but a lot of times they're just there because they like vibing with the streamer, and they like interacting with all the other chatters and viewers. And usually it's like every streamer, if they get big enough, create their own community. and which is great. I mean, having that kind of community, who knew you could create this kind of community through games and through streaming? I never would have thought. I never would have imagined when I started my first stream through Twitch that you could develop something like this and you could interact with people in this way. And even through these podcasts, I've interacted with people personally. I think I met about 10 to 11 people in person through Twitch through these podcasts. And all these people were awesome to meet, going down to my mods, my VIPs and other Twitch streamers. So to be able to connect with people all around the world is pretty amazing. And, at the end of the day, I'm just grateful for these experiences and for these interactions. And you really can't ask for anything more. So to create like a community of a game and through streaming has been pretty remarkable. I never would have imagined that this was something that was possible. But through this new age and technology, it allows us to do that. And I just think that's amazing. I think that's been one of the coolest things out of my Twitch and podcast experience is just the interactions that I had with just people from around the world. So, that's been great, man. So that's definitely one thing that I'm very appreciative and very grateful for after all the time that I've invested in doing this. So, that's definitely one plus, a huge plus, I would say. And I think the biggest reason why I probably still do this is just kind of the connections that I've had with people and kind of the community that I was able to develop through all this. So that's been great. And, going forward, I just wanted to share that I definitely want to keep streaming and keep creating content. But going into this new year, I wonder, with all this being said, how much time I want to invest into it. And I know this is something that I have said before in previous podcasts, and I said it in my streams. I might have told some people. But I think towards the end of 2022, and I've always had this thought as well, is just how much time do I really want to invest into this? And what do I want to get out of this? Obviously, I would have those aspirations too, to want to make this a full-time thing. But at the end of the day, you need to make enough money to be able to do that. I think you could still, it's definitely doable. No doubt. And I think for a lot of people too, they don't have those aspirations. They just want to do it because they just enjoy it as kind of like their extracurricular activity, which is totally fine, which is totally understandable, and they just like vibing with their community and don't really have ambitions to want to be like a full-time content creator, which is totally fine and which is great. I mean, everybody has their reasons for doing this, and which is a reason for me to want to keep doing it. But I think like everybody, like many other people, I definitely have those thoughts where, I want to stop. I want to stop completely. I wonder if that's the move to make. And I think for me, it's not something I'd want to stop completely. Like I could still see myself doing it in a year or 2 years from now. I think it's just a matter of how much time I want to commit to it. And I've been having thoughts and just reflecting on cutting back on the time that I put into streaming and podcasting. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy this. I enjoy this a lot, and I enjoy doing all this and creating content But I think in my personal life too, I feel like there's things that I need to prioritize, and I feel like there's a transition, a shift that's going on in my life, possibly career wise, and just a lot of things going on, which I don't really want to go into detail with, but it is definitely affecting my decision to cut back on streaming and content creating. So even with this podcast, I mean, it is a huge milestone and it's something to celebrate. I guess you could look at it as an accomplishment because it is pretty big to commit to this thing for a certain amount of time, for nearly 2 years, and to come to a point now where maybe it's time to invest my time into other things, and maybe step away from podcasting and also streaming. And as much as I love and enjoy doing this, and I have received positive feedback, maybe when you look at the numbers, it hasn't really generated as much traction as I would have liked. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the channel has still been growing, but I think maybe it's just not something that many people are into. And again, it could still be something that I continue to do for fun, but again, I don't know if I want to invest as much time into it. And we have one of our VIPs in here in the chat. Alex, what's up, Alex? How we doing, man? Good to see you. So yeah, I think in terms of our podcast, we do have a couple more episodes coming, and do have those obligations to do them. So I'll definitely do those episodes. We do have some coming up, so I will I will stick to those obligations and I will stick to doing those episodes. But I think after that, it's possible that we might go on of a bit of a break from the podcast, and I don't know if I'll be actively looking for guests. And but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think a little break would be good. And we appreciate Alex being here and a couple guys in the chat. But yeah, again, it's just something that I've reflected on, and I thought maybe it could be time to just kind of take some time back or cut back on the content creating. And I think I'll still continue to stream, but I feel like I guess right before, from this point on to Team of the Year, I could see myself going on a bit of a break from streaming and just kind of sort out things in my personal life, and probably be back for Team of the Year towards the end of January, since that's a big promo. And from that point on, you know, I could see myself streaming less. So I know we've been on the grind and we've been streaming like 5-6 days a week for 4 to 6 hours, which is still part-time hours, by the way. But it's still a lot of time that we're committing to streaming. But, you know, even cutting back to maybe 2 to 3 days a week might be the move to make, or to take some breaks in between. You know, I've kind of thought about it for a while, and I think this is probably the best move to make for myself. And you know, I don't know if it's like a bittersweet thing to say it on our 100th episode, because I've kind of wanted this episode to be more hyped, more celebratory. But I guess I'm going the route where I'm more reflective about where I've been, and kind of discuss where I'm at and what direction I want to go. Because I've been thinking about this a lot and put a lot of thought into it. And I think that might be the move to make is just to cut back on the content creating. Doesn't mean I'll just disappear cold turkey. I again, I still enjoy doing this, but I think just cutting back a bit might do me good. And I just you know, I want to keep doing this, but then you never know. It could come to a point where eventually, when other things happen in life, that there could be an end to this. All good things must come to an end. So, well, for this life at least. So, yeah. So it's possible at some point that maybe we won't have these podcasts anymore, or I won't be streaming. But I don't know that. I haven't made a conclusion. I haven't made a decision to stop completely. But I believe the move here for me is to cut back on the content creating. And it's like, when you come to the 100th episode, it's like a big milestone and you kind of want to celebrate more. And it's kind of bittersweet to say this on the 100th episode. But it's just something that I felt like I wanted to share with my viewers and to my supporters. And I know there's still been people that have been continuing to listen to all the podcasts. And I'm very appreciative of everyone that has. I don't really know where these podcasts I gotta go. Obviously, there could be improvements to be made to this podcast and to our streaming. I think definitely aesthetically we can make the podcast look a little better if we had some more equipment, a better setup. But at the end of the day, I'm just grateful to have done all this and to have met amazing people through Twitch. So it's just been a good ride. It's just been a good ride. And I know we got some people in here, so this is a point where if you want to ask questions or if you want to comment, feel free to ask away. But yeah, that's just where I'm at with that. And as always, I don't have anything written out in my podcast. I don't have an outline. Obviously, I had some thought to kind of think about what I wanted to say here. I did not write it down, which should have been a good idea to do. But as always, I just kind of go with the flow, and whatever questions or things that come into mind, I'll discuss it. And I don't really know what to say on top of that, other than I just can't believe I played this game for this long and committed so many hours to it. I've certainly gotten better at the game because I played FIFA 20, 21, 22, 23. And my ability to create content, to edit videos, to stream, to figure out like kind of this aspect of content creating with streaming and podcasting has been, I guess it's a skill. It's a skill that I developed over the years, and we produced, I guess, decent content. I wouldn't say it's the best content. To be fair, I think there's a lot of better content out there, and I think there's more entertaining content out there. But for me, I'm just maybe there's definitely improvements I definitely could have made to make it better. But at the same time, there's other things in life that I gotta take care of, and sometimes you can't commit as much time as you want to. And at the end of the day, maybe I could have made it better. There's no doubt about it, and there's no excuses. But this is just the way that it played out. And at the end of the day, I'm just thankful for it. So, you know, you reap what you sow, right? So whatever you put in, that's what you get out. And at the end of the day, I met a lot of amazing people. I made some pennies and cents. and people have supported us financially, which I'm very grateful for as well. A lot of subs and biddies, donations, and just people taking their time to actually watch me. That's amazing. To watch a guy like me, huh? You spend all that time just to hear what I have to say and talk some nonsense for hours. And that's what we're doing with this podcast. Is just talking nonsense. No, but I just really wanted to just, I guess, try to be transparent with where I'm at. And maybe this episode was the best episode to do that. So yeah, that is the direction I want to go. And I don't know how much I could say this enough, but I'm just very appreciative of everything, of all the support and love through all these years. And I know we have had people that have been with us pre-affiliate days. Like shout out to like Jordan Cassels, who's actually our first guest on our second episode of the podcast. He's still our mod. He used to stream a little bit too, but he doesn't anymore. But he still drops by and shows support, which is amazing. He's been a sub for about 27 months, our largest subscriber and one of our founders. A great dude who's been supporting us. And, there's guys like Seba, who's also our VIP, who's been with us for a while, has recently been popping up in our streams. Just a lot of guys that's been with us for over a year. And at the end of the day, like I said, I'm just grateful for all that. So it's kind of amazing that there have been people that still come by and has been with us for so many years. And, you still have some of these people just kind of drop by even after extended period of time of not coming in the streams. They'll still catch up with you and just kind of see how you're doing. And not everybody could really commit to a game like many streamers do. Like a lot of FIFA content creators to get a game like every year and to play it like almost every single day. That is quite the commitment to make. And for me to have done it for the past 3 years is pretty remarkable. I didn't think I'd be this addicted to a game. But there's reasons to do it. Because for us, for me, I do it, as I mentioned before, I play FIFA because I enjoy streaming and I enjoy creating content. And if I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be playing the game. Quite honestly, as much as I like the game, I have my reasons and I have my motivations for playing the game, and I think that's the main reason, is creating the content, is meeting all you wonderful people that have supported us throughout the years. So that's the biggest thing of why I've been doing it for so long. But I think, as I mentioned before, it has come to a point in my life where maybe this is something that I would need to come back on. And Alex, one of our VIPs here, agrees with me. We all have got our reasons. Yes. And then we got Blaze in here, so more people showing up, which is phenomenal. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys got any questions, I could definitely do a Q&A. We could definitely do it for the next 10 to 15 minutes. But yes, we do have all our reasons to either stream or to stop streaming. And, you know, we all got lives to live. And I guess life is much more than streaming. And the thing is, streaming to majority of streamers is just a hobby. It's just a hobby where they can make a little bit of money, a little bit of pocket change. But there's a very few that could make a living off this. And that's just the reality of it. And if you do want to pursue it, there's no guarantee that everybody can make it a full-time living. And that's just the reality of it. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Because it is possible. But to make it a full-time thing, you really have to commit to it. And you really have to be creative in how you want to grow. And the thing is, not everybody can sustain that level of commitment for a long period of time. And even if you do, there's no guarantee that you'll be a full-time content creator making a lot of money. With that being said, though, I wouldn't discourage anybody to not try. At least you go through this life trying all these things, and even a couple streamers have told me that they want to at least try doing this, make it a full-time thing, because they don't want to go through life having regrets of not trying at all. And I've always been the type of guy to try things that I've really enjoyed doing. And throughout the course of my life, I've invested into things that I was really passionate about. And in return, maybe you're not making a lot of money, but you do it because that's what you enjoy doing at the time. And it does come with a cost in pursuing those things, but hey, it comes down to what you want to do with your life. And we also have Richard in here, who's a good friend of mine. I appreciate you being here. So, yeah. I would like to believe that I at least tried in doing this. And in the attempt of trying all this, again, I met so many amazing people. So I really can't complain. I think there's like a blessing in disguise out of the pursuit of content creating, and that's the community that I have with my supporters and viewers. And so I can't help but look back, but be grateful for the experiences that I have with streaming. And I think having reached 2,000 followers on Twitch, having over 200 members in our Discord, and also close to 400 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, you could go with the numbers, and reaching our 100th episode. After coming this far, I'm just, it's an absolute pleasure to have met everybody through this platform, through all these platforms. So at the end of the day, I still want to maintain a lot of the relationships that I have with you guys, my community. And, if I continue to do this, even as like a side thing, I know the community will continue to grow. I don't know if it'll grow at a pace where you could be a full-timer, but that doesn't mean you can't stop streaming, right? But I think at this point in time, I think it is best for me personally to really take a step back from all this. And I think it's in my personal life, it's kind of weird. I think there's transitions going on, and usually in a time of transitions in my life, I've always just kind of taken a step back from everything and cut some things off and just kind of reflect on where I am and kind of just just kind of sit back and see where I am in my life at this point, and kind of think about, kind of plan for what I want to do going forward. So Richard asks, this is actually a really good question. Is it possible to expand the content, not limit strictly to FIFA? Yes, I did have those thoughts of expanding the content. Actually, and I'm willing to share this with you guys too. That is that is not breaking news, Alex. That is incorrect. Leaving? Oh, you put the question mark, so am I? But that is a great question that Richard brought up. Yes, I mean, I would have loved to expand the content. I would have loved to done a podcast, much like the format that we have been having, with guests coming through. Formidable guests, people who are pretty well known, and to just kind of, it doesn't even have to be well known, just interesting people, and just talk about other things besides FIFA. Many other things. And I guess I kind of had a vision of, like, if this podcast were to get bigger, I can make a transition into making another podcast talking about just general things and having conversations with people. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there like that, and I really enjoy those podcasts. Just talking about different types of things. And one of the podcasts, obviously, that you guys probably know is the Joe Rogan Experience. And I really like that format in the podcast, where he has a lot of cool guests and just talk about kind of their field, their expertise, or just to talk, just to have a conversation. I've always enjoyed that, and that's kind of why I formatted my podcast much like that. But because I'm kind of in the FIFA content creating sphere, I've just kind of stuck with FIFA content creators. So I definitely had those thoughts, and that is something that could still be there. But it's just the timing of it all, and how I would get certain guests in. That's something, I wouldn't rule out, but that's something I've definitely thought of, and maybe it could be something in the future that I could look to do. But if not, then it's fine too. I'm sure there's other things in life. So Richard asks, if there's maybe we could talk about philosophy. That's way more interesting. Like something, a single player actually controls the outcome of games and teams. Definitely. That's definitely an interesting topic to talk about. So, but I don't know. I would love to talk about those things and have a separate podcast for that. But again, the time that you put into these things and making content and having a podcast, it's definitely a grind, and it's definitely a commitment. And is that a commitment where you're willing to at least put 100 episodes without getting paid? And if you are, then by all means go for it. And I wouldn't discourage anybody to do that. I just think I would prepare them mentally, in that you got to be willing to make that commitment, and you got to do it even in the times where you don't even want to. And that goes to streaming. That goes to many other crafts that people invest in. And Mbappe had a never say die attitude. Yes, so people have that kind of commitment and that kind of drive and fire, and to become great. And that's why Mbappe is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. You know, you don't get there just out of pure luck. You don't get there on just talent alone, but you need a commitment to work hard and get better at your craft. And Richard has also said production quality improved from the very beginning. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I have gotten good feedback, and I really do appreciate all the feedback that I've gotten over the years. And overall, it's been really good. A lot of positive things that people had to say. So I think my only thing is I wish it just would have gained more traction at a much faster rate. But this is where it all comes in, where I've discussed about the numbers game and wanting to hit a certain number. But maybe, you know, there's things on my end that I could improve to make that happen. And maybe it's just something that people aren't interested in as good as maybe the podcast might be. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of factors. So, yes, I think those are good feedbacks and inputs. So yeah, I believe this is a good time to end the podcast here. And then Alex says Alice in Borderland was mid. I thought it was pretty good. um. Okay, Richard says everyone should listen to Cedric the Entertainer's joke. Bomasius. Bomanasius. Bomanasius. I don't know what that is. I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe I'll have to take a listen. But I thought the Alice in Borderland was a good show. I thought it was pretty good. I think that's the end, though. I don't think they're gonna make another season. But I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, that's where we'll cap it off. I appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate you guys coming through and watching the podcast. Again, a little bittersweet podcast, but kind of discussing the cutback and the time we want to put into this, and also being very appreciative of the journey. And as I've heard before, it's not so much about the destination, but it's the journey to get there. So my journey in content creating has been a blessing, and I'm very appreciative of it at the end of the day. It's not always the easiest and can be challenging at times in its own ways, but at the end of the day, I can only be grateful. So, yes, I appreciate you guys coming in and, supporting us and watching this episode. If you haven't joined us live, our podcast episodes are always on replay. It's on record, so you could rewatch it. You could watch it at any time. It'll be on Spotify and other podcast platforms. We got a breaking news drama alert. Koballa leaving. For now, I would say no. But you never know. But yeah, that's where you can find the platforms if you want to continue to listen to me. We do have a couple episodes coming up. We have our next episode tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST with our own Koballa competitive FIFA players, JT and Kev G, who are going to talk about their lead up and their preparation for the FGS qualifiers, which is a big FIFA tournament. They'll be joining us for tomorrow's podcast. And then on Friday, we will have It's Wilson back on the pod, who recently hit 1K on Twitch, which is a huge milestone for him. And after that, we'll look to have Dean back. Or not back. He'll be on there for the first time, and he's one of the co-founders of Tactical Banditry, which is an esports company. So we'll chop it up with him, and then after that, there could be a break in the podcast unless we have some more episodes that could be worth doing. But in the meantime, I do look forward to having a bit of a break from the content creating. L-Dog says this man deserves a break. All the hard work put into all the amazing content, it never gets boring. I really do appreciate that. That does mean a lot, L-Dog. That does mean a lot, and I really do appreciate your support, L-Dog, Alex, Blaze, Richard, who have and Kane, who are here in the chat with us today. So I really do appreciate it. I mean, it means the world to me that you guys are here and you guys are supporting me. Wouldn't be able to even reach the 100th episode without you guys, and to have hit the 2K mark on Twitch. So we'll see where this takes us, man. This is not the end, not at all, but maybe a time to make a shift with what we want to do with our content creating. So we shall see. We shall see what the future holds for us. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean that I can't show my gratitude, and I can't be grateful that we hit officially our 100th episode on the FIFA Koballa podcast. So again, if you want to check us out, we are on FIFA Koballa 44 YouTube channel. We are close to hitting 400 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do, and drop a like if you do like this content. And you could also follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other podcast platforms that are out there. Thank you guys so much for all the episodes, for all the support through all the years. I don't know how many times I've said thank you and appreciative and all that, but I really do mean it. The fact that I said it so much goes to show how much I do appreciate you guys. So thank you guys so much. I will be streaming after this, so you guys can catch me on twitch.tv/Koballa, and I will be grinding some FIFA. So it's not the end, Blaze. It's not the end, guys. This is just the first part. This is the end to the podcast, but we will be live on Twitch for a bit. So stop by during that time, during the live session. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So